no supplements really in terms of protein supplements, carbohydrate supplements that people will
No,
drink post workout.
no,
Yeah.
no. I've never had a pre-workout. That's the other thing too. I've never had a pre-workout drink or pre-workout anything. I don't really understand it. To me, your mental game has to be so laser focused. And if I'm going to train, I'll start preparing the second I realize I have to train. And sometimes I don't have that much time. You're busy. I have my own company. A lot of things I have to do. And so it's like, okay, I have to go train. I have an hour. In an hour, I'm going to go train. Second I realize I have to go train, there's something mentally I have to start doing. There's this routine, this process that I have to start going through. So when I go in there, I'm not just going to give into that part of myself that says, well, Kevin, just take it easy. No one's here. You're by yourself. You're almost 50. You're not competing. Take it easy. Relax. Have an easy workout because you can't have that. And I think that anything that would in any way alter my natural process of thinking, like caffeine or something that would hype me up, to me would interfere with being able to commute with that part of myself. I need to be 100% me. But I also don't like the idea of having to rely on a crutch. And I think being drug free for me is about this is me. I did this. I can do this anywhere, anytime, even without a gym, even without equipment. I can, take my body. I can get a workout and get a certain level of intensity. I don't need a crutch to get there. I can do it on my own. And I see it a bit as a crutch. And as for the protein shakes, when I started competing in Trinidad, I couldn't afford them. Period. Came to America, started the protein shakes, and back then they were absolutely horrible, absolutely terrible. They tasted terrible, but everybody's taking it, so you take protein shakes. And it was Ian Mercer who said, okay, before a competition, you want to take protein shakes out 3 months out because you're going to look your best. You don't want to have any kind of liquid calories going into your diet. And I looked my best when I wasn't taking the protein shakes. And so after the competition, my questioning to myself was, why go back on it? And so I just never did.
I wonder why that might be. I was just talking to a gentleman on the podcast, Joel Kellett, highly well known, especially now within the world of bodybuilding, fitness, natural bodybuilding. But he mentioned that you don't know what is going into these protein shakes. That's another thing where you think you're getting 20 grams per scoop, but how do you really know, right, at the end of the day? So is that part of the reason why you also don't consume them?
Yes, it's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
one of the reasons why I don't. I've been in the bodybuilding world for a long time. I've met a lot of people at different parts of the industry. I know people manufacture protein supplements and supplements in general, and those aren't the people I would trust to daily take something that they made. The whole pharmaceutical grade doesn't exist. There's no such thing. It's either you are or as it is or it isn't. And even there was one really disturbing story that I only found out about maybe 3 years ago. There was a product that came out. It was called Hot Stuff in the 1980s, late 1980s. And my training partner and I heard about it. People were talking about how fantastic it was. And so, okay, we're going to get a canister of it. And it was called a metabolic optimizer, which to this day, I don't really know what that is. So, I saved every penny I could and I bought a canister of Hot Stuff. And my training partner, he got one too. And we tried it. And we had these amazing workouts. We were flying through the workouts. Like it was really something. And then I bought another canister of it. It was fantastic. And then we went to go get another one and it was off the market. We were like, well, what happened? And like, we don't know. Just don't sell it anymore. Okay. And we forgot about it. And about a year later, it came back on the market. And so we, got it again because it really worked. It was a supplement that really worked. Bear in mind, I'm probably about 17 years old at this point in time. So really not that knowledgeable about supplements at all. And we used it and nothing happened. We didn't feel the same. We didn't feel like anything. And we didn't understand what happened. And kind of forgot about it. And then there was a podcast where there was a guest who knew Dan Duquesne. And Dan Duquesne is literally one of the fathers of modern steroid use. He was behind the company that made Hot Stuff, and he had put clenbuterol in Hot Stuff, and that's the reason why your workouts felt supercharged. You were taking clenbuterol in there, and I only found out this like 3 years ago. And to the host, it seemed kind of like, oh, it was no big deal, like funny, they got one over consumer. But to me, it underlined something that I saw in the supplement industry very early on when I came to America, which was that people who were making it were as committed to excellence as the guy on the corner selling crack. I didn't see a difference. And to me, that just did not surprise me when all the studies came out finding that there was all these heavy metals in it. There's fine traces of arsenic, because manufacturing anything on a large scale, and it's a problem too. I think there's a problem in terms of science isn't something that's really part of our culture. They don't understand what it takes to create a product and how difficult it is to have even just to have a sterile environment. Not that easy a thing to do. And again, we live in a capitalist society. Capitalism is about how do you maximize your profits. And if someone's making a protein powder, and like you said, if they put a little bit less weight, or if they, put something else in there to try to charge up the consumer, make them feel like they're getting more gains than they really are from putting something in there. And literally the number of people who I personally know who tested positive for substances and who I can personally attest were not using anything of their own knowledge was because they were using supplements. And my thing was, my decision to become a natural bodybuilder was about my health. And it didn't seem healthy, number one, taking them. And also the marketing of it. And I remember the marketing of it as a child, as someone who couldn't afford it. I realized that for a lot of the marketing, it's all about taking the power and the belief you can do it and creating that very consumer oriented perspective of you need this outside of yourself to achieve excellence. And the fact as well that back then it was all about readers were dominating bodybuilding in their magazine, and they'd have all the bodybuilders, they had the protein powder and I use this, I use that. And I met them and they didn't use it. They didn't use any of it. And it was such for me, already you had that kind of seedy idea of, oh, well, if you just train hard, go to the gym, watch your diet, you too will be a champion bodybuilder. No, that wasn't true. And now they would add this thing where we have to buy this product as well to be a champion bodybuilder. And it was all taking away from the power of what we can do for ourselves. And to me, I didn't subscribe to that at all. When I started becoming more and more successful in the fitness industry, I got more and more offers to promote supplements and be a sponsor, be an ambassador. And the reason why most bodybuilders, natural and otherwise, will never say something bad about supplements because it's a paycheck. Affiliate marketing, use this code and you'll save so and so money. And I find it personally reprehensible, the idea of someone who doesn't use something pretending to, but at a profit, because coming from a place where money was scarce, food was scarce. And I remember saving up to buy protein powders, and I can actually count on my hand the number of times I could afford it. I don't think people realize the damage it does, and also the damage it does when you feel like you're missing out on something and you're not focusing on the fact that you have everything that you need. And one of the things I try to talk about is the fact that you already have all the tools. You don't need anything outside of yourself. If you put the work in, if you are consistent with your diet, consistent with your training, and you have that unshakable resolve, you're going to get results. And the problem I saw as well was that people would start using supplements and they'd start getting results, but because they were using supplements, they would eat better, they'd train harder because they felt like they were using something. And they would ascribe all of their gains to this powder or pill they were taking, which probably wasn't doing much of anything for it. Because again, the rule, the exception proves the rule to be wrong. So many of us, in fact, a lot of top natural bodybuilders don't use supplements, but a lot of them won't say that because it's a paycheck. I personally can't get behind that. Even the fact that when some of the companies would say, well, even though you don't use supplements, you don't have to use it, just to say you're using it. And that to me right there was just not an industry I want to be affiliated with. I think too, if I hate the word influencer, and I hope I'm not an influencer at all. I just want to be someone who shows others that they have within themselves what's needed to get to a place of excellence. And to do that, you can't be getting paid by someone whose whole focus is trying to get as much money from people to believe you need something outside of yourself. The two to me aren't compatible lifestyle-wise.
As far as the training goes, because you mentioned how you're training, like you didn't just copy what Mike Mentzer does or what Arthur Jones was kind of prescribing back in the 70s and 80s. And there's so many different variations of, depending on who you talk to and your source, about high intensity training. So How is yours different? Let's break it down for the listeners.